What did you expect? Some of you out there love Thor Ragnarok, and you know who you are. You know who are you, and you know the people that you enjoyed Thor Ragnarok. I have been very consistent. Thor Ragnarok for me was garbage. As somebody who read Thor comics and Marvel vs. DC growing up, and not only that, one of my best friends is a Thor fanatic. Like one of my friends who I've known since literally my whole life. He is a Thor fanatic, and he has been a fan of Thor since I've been alive. So he was with I was the Spider-Man guy, he was the Thor guy. So but I've known about Thor because he's been talking to me about Thor and he's always read Thor comics. And I knew that that garbage Ragnarok was not Thor. Let's break this down. Do you need to be a fan of a character to make a good film? No, you don't. A good film is a good film is a good film. All the matters is making a good film. But you need to have an appreciation and an understanding of the core of the character. Case in point, Tim Burton. Tim Burton was not a fan of Batman. He wasn't a fan of the comics. He didn't even read the comics. But when you look at the Batman Special Edition, he felt a connection to the character. In fact, no, no, I understand this character. And it just so happened that Tim Burton, the man, the essence, was also connected to what the essence of Batman was: mysterious, dark, brooding, moody, a creature of the night, dark, blackness. And he was able to evoke that to great effect in Batman, which had a different kind of aesthetic from the comics that people were used to, but it still kept the essence. The essence of Taika Watiti is completely different from what Thor was. So now look at Thor Ragnarok. In a vacuum, it's cool. You see, the thing with comedy is it's either funny or it's not. You can't understand something that's funny. So if you find um Taika Waititi's comedy funny, cool. I just don't. I just don't. Now, what we do in the shadows, it's fine, it's all right. But I just don't find his comedy funny. So as I was watching Ragnarok, I was like, this is a mess because you've made Thor into a clown. Thor is a character who thinks very highly of himself, is arrogant, sort of has a kind of third person kind of aesthetic to him, but he's a warrior. He's an arrogant, full of himself warrior. And himself, he isn't a clown. He isn't a comedian. He's not a gag a minute dude. He turned him into a comedian. And now, boom, Chris Hemsworth. It's- Bro, you see, this is what I'm just out with Marvel. This. I'm just telling you the convo I have with my friend who is more of the Thor fan. I actually need to speak to him about this. Chris Hemsworth is a garbage actor. He's trash. He's a crap actor. Trust me, he's crap. And I've seen enough people to know that he's a crap actor. Because he's a garbage actor, he couldn't do well with Thor 1 and Thor 2. Guys, let's have a real convo. A better actor, less than Alexander Skarsgård, that Thor 1 film is better. That Thor 1 film is screaming for a really good actor to take hold of that film. A really good actor in that role, you're like, okay, you know what? Okay, that film wasn't it? But man, I remember Thor in that film. And the issue was Chris Hemsworth was so garbage, was so trash. What do you remember that film? Odin, I Anthony Hopkins, and of course, the guy who really pretty much was the role of a lifetime was Tom Hiddleston and Loki. Chris Hemsworth was the most boring character and was the most trashiest character. And there was enough in that film, and there was enough juice in that film for Chris Hemsworth to sort of really show himself. So it only came to where it was now a comedy that Chris Hemsworth was like, aha, this is now in my element because Chris Hemsworth, all he can do is comedy, and you're not even good at comedy in and of itself. So when Watiti comes out and he says, I am that I was never a fan of Thor. I just did this for the money. It makes sense. When you look at Ragnarok and Love and Thunder, it makes sense. And here's my thing. Because I didn't even bother watching and Thunder. But from the clips I saw and from the footage that I saw, Love and Thunder is not that far removed from Ragnarok. Now, I think Love and Thunder, you just took to the nth degree. Because Love and Thunder, you just said F it. Because Ragnarok was so successful. It was such a massive hit because of you guys who loved Ragnarok. He was like, oh, this was Ragnarok just Taiki on like a 7. Let me now go to a full 9 or a 10, which was Love and Thunder was. What needed to happen was Ragnarok was always a mistake. And Ragnarok was always going to lead to Love and Thunder. Because Ragnarok was just Taika was just teasing you what it was really about. Love and Thunder is him fully on Unleashed, where, bro, now I'm just going to make this a full-on comedy in total form. But the key thing was there were many of you who like Ragnarok. I will always stand by this. Girl, Ragnarok, Ragnarok was a total detriment and a total screw you and F you to the Thor character and to every fan of Thor. I'll be shocked if you were a fan of Thor and you liked Ragnarok. It is impossible for you to be a fan of Thor and like Ragnarok. Now, if you weren't really a fan of Thor and you just like the MCU, oh, fine, Ragnarok is cool. But if you actually liked Thor or you understood who Thor was from the comics, because I remember watching, reading Marvel versus DC, and did Thor? Who was Thor? I remember who Thor was fighting, but I remember reading the Marvel versus DC comic, and I just remember the Thor character and how he would talk, and the weird way that he would talk, because he was also talking this weird Shakespeare terms. And I was like, okay, no, yeah, he's a very particular kind of a character. And you look at that garbage in Ragnarok, I'm like, what's that garbage? So, I'm sorry. Nobody should come out and say, like, oh, how could they give it to a guy who didn't... My thing is this, is that, see, it's a weird one. Business-wise, it was a great move. So, business-wise, it was a great move. Because it's made the most money and it's been the most successful Thor film. But here, a great Thor film exists. The biggest mistake was Chris Hemsworth. Let's keep it a stack. Is Iron Man 1 really a great film? Or does Downey Jr.'s performance make it great? And also, shout out to Jeff Bridges, who was actually a underrated villain. Because look at Iron Man 1 again. Is it that great a film? Is the story that's great? Is the script that's great? I would argue, in terms of a story, screenplay, pathos, an arc, a character arc, Thor 1 has more meat on the bone than Iron Man 1. The key of Iron Man 1 was that it was a good enough foundation for a great actor like Downey Jr. to shine. And that's what happened. Thor 1, the issue is Chris Hemsworth is a garbage actor. Chris Hemsworth can't hold a freaking candle light to freaking Downey Jr. So and the thing with this comic book stuff is, if your lead is trash, you're screwed. A big reason why Blade works, that first Blade film, is Snipes. A big reason why the Captain America films work, all of them work, is Chris Evans. He's a big reason why those films freaking work. So I'm looking at this thing right now and I'm like, bro, Chris Hemsworth has always been the issue. So Thor 5, Thor 6 will always be crap. It's always been the issue. Ragnarok, was Chris Hemsworth really the best thing about Ragnarok? Or was it the direction, the characters, the visuals, and pretty much everything else around him? So Chris Hemsworth has always been the issue. He's the problem. He's the bomb. He is the issue. And he can't move this freaking dude. You recast this bomb, get an actual guy to play Thor, and it was always should have been Alexander Skarsgård, really. And then you're in to go, man. So for Watiti, where I'm like, I was never a fan of Thor. Yeah, it makes sense because of bloody Ragnarok and that bomb piece of trash. How do you cast Christian Bale as a villain? And you just turn him into a comedy act, and they use comedy just to look, man. Like, subscribe, man. I'm out, man.